Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good morning and welcome to my early morning podcast. Today is Sunday, and my podcast normally is on at 10 o'clock, but on Sunday I come on at 8. That's so I can go to church. And I want to welcome you all to a live podcast that you found on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. This one is called Fight CPS with Bob Pace. And hang on to your children. I want to help you all with your CPS case. And you just heard from my attorney, Vincent Davis, with a message about upcoming podcasts on December the 7th. Got someone right on time calling. Hello there.
Hi, Kimberly. How are you?
Pretty good, Kimberly. You called right when I came on. I haven't had a chance to really say much.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, I didn't know you were on. I was going to ask you a question.
Well, I'm glad you called because you're calling during my show times, and I can call on Sunday. I'm always on at 8 o'clock. So, Kimberly, where are you from? I forgot where you're from.
Oh, I'm from Illinois.
Okay.
And I had a very good conversation with Mr. Davis, and, I think we problem spotted my situation as I don't have money for an attorney. I got an appointed attorney that's not filing valid evidence in my case. And,
right.
A lot of malpractice has happened, and I'm going to lose my kids because of it.
That's a terrible thing because I lost one of my child too, due to not malpractice, but to committing perjury. The social worker lied on the time she was addressed in the court where she lied, and she retaliated and had my 12-year-old daughter do something that was very upsetting.
Yeah, mine has been manipulated by the system and by the department. They alienated me for over a year. They lied and said that the children's therapist said that the child could choose, but she did not say that. In fact, they withheld her from talking to me because she had evidence proving that the children were in a bad home and that they were being manipulated. And then they did a second forensic interview, and the coach failed that lie test that they do to see if the child has been manipulated.
Yeah.
And so that proved that the child was lying. But they added more findings on me. They put torture on me because my husband assaulted the child. And I called the police and gave them the ring footage. And there's pretty much in all 50 states, there's a immunity act for reporters. And that makes them immune from criminal and civil liability if they are reporting in good faith. To say that I should have physically attacked my husband.
You said in good faith. If they lie, they should be criminally prosecuted. In fact, they should change the law that people have to make a complaint in writing and sign their name to it with their phone number. It can be kept anonymous until they find out they lied, and then if they lied, they can be prosecuted.
Right, but I didn't. So I called the police and gave him the footage. He's in prison. He's convicted off that video for assaulting his son.
Yeah, I remember you talking about the case on the show. Well, I'm so glad you called in, Kimberly. As I say, I was just welcoming the people and tell them about what to do in this podcast. There's 4 ways to interact. One is to be in this room. Another way is just to call like you did. And I'm so glad you did call.
Yeah.
And then the other way is being a guest on the podcast where you can talk.
I did that.
Yep.
And it was good. It was Mr. Davis has quite a bit of knowledge and was very helpful. And but unfortunately, as broken as the system is and corrupt, I think it's child trafficking. To be honest with you,
It is. It is.
But I feel like people like me who don't have money. Even I had put $40,000 into an attorney who did nothing, and he's blowing me up, sweating a malpractice lawsuit because I threatened to sue him because he completely screwed me a case, and I'm suffering because of it.
Was he a criminal attorney, or was he a dependency attorney?
He was my divorce and my.
Oh, he is a divorce attorney.
Yeah, he let them add findings on me after the adjudication
Wow.
without due process and did
Wow.
not do anything about it. He also, they changed what was said on the record in the
Mhm.
adjudication. We went into an agreement to stipulate to what my husband's actions.
Mm-hmm.
And then the judge entered his opinion, which is not supposed to happen. That's only to happen at a trial setting. We should have went to trial for his opinion to be part of the record.
Right.
But
Right.
we didn't. We went into an agreement, and his opinion is still maintained on the record. And my attorney told me, he says, well, I don't do appeals, but now would be the time to appeal it. But see, here's the thing. When you have an appointed attorney of record, you can't file into your own case. You are
Oh.
restricted because you have an attorney of record. So for me to file into an appeal was impossible. He should have filed for the appeal and then filed
Right.
for an appellate public defender for me.
Right. Or you could relieve that and do the appeal yourself.
Well, yeah, but I wasn't going to go pro se. It's never good to go pro se.
No.
Even if you know your rights as
No.
pro se, I found
But
that
sometimes,
the courts don't respect you.
right, the pro
And you
se,
get gaslighted in
yeah.
the court system.
I think the pro se is better than using a court-appointed attorney.
Well, I guess it depends on what court you're in.
I'm
So
talking
I've
about
been in,
dependency law, and now in divorce law, it may be different. I just know that in dependency law, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. Everybody else, you're innocent until you're proven guilty.
Oh, yeah.
I mean-
meaning you have more rights as a criminal than you do
Right.
as
And then
a
on top of that,
parent.
in criminal matters, you have a jury. In dependency matters, you don't have a jury. And a jury should be not up to the judge to decide the fate of a
Why
whole
is it
family.
so difficult to get your rights have been violated, you have proof recording of your rights being violated. Like I've recorded my children talking about the manipulation and inappropriate behavior.
Right.
I just got the investigative report, and in that report, my son, who's 9, has been ADHD, and he's been on the same milligram medication for 3 years, and his teachers in school, he was doing great. He gets in the foster care system, and there's a report written by the doctor saying that she had him up to 30 milligrams of this stimulant, and she didn't notice the difference when he dropped the dosage, 20 milligrams.
Now, was this a
And,
CPS social worker who prescribed the medication?
No, so the foster parent took my son to the doctor, and I guess she was trying to keep him drugged up. And
Was it
he's 9 years old. He was only
Right.
48 pounds.
Was
And
he?
the doctor said it was a high dosage, and then
Okay.
he had dropped the dosage without the foster parent knowing it, and she didn't even realize that the dosage was dropped.
Now, was that your pediatrician for your child, or was that some strange doctor?
That was a doctor that the foster parents had been taking my son to.
Well, that's wrong, because were your medical rights taken away?
No, I have never been informed of it. I got all this stuff in the investigative report.
Wow. Because you see,
Yeah, there's
if
a
you
lot.
don't, if you have your medical rights, The foster care, even the child protection system cannot take your child to a doctor of their choosing. You, as a parent, have your own pediatrician because the foster
Well, they
care.
don't keep me informed. I don't get to be a part of any of the medical. I can't talk to the teachers.
That's wrong
I
too.
am not
That's
allowed
wrong
to talk to
too.
the foster parents. I'm not allowed to do anything. And they don't tell me what's going on, but I'm finding these things in the investigative report because I filed with the administrative hearing unit.
Right.
And the administrative hearing unit told me that they could not go forward in the appeal because these findings that were after the adjudication were added without due process, yes, but they are a part of the criminal case, which is a child endangerment.
Right.
But
Now,
according to the Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Act, I am granted immunity because I reported the abuse at the time that it happened, and I gave the police the video. There was a woman in Iowa. It's Iowa versus King. And in this case law, she was under the same immunity, except this woman was married to a man who, for 6 months, she knew of the marks that her husband was putting on the child. She took the child to the hospital, and it had a broken femur. The hospital made the 911 call and to the report to DCFS. She didn't. They charged her with child endangerment, but she cooperated with them. And so the Supreme Court overturned the criminal charges of endangerment because she was granted the immunity under the Reporting Act. So if a woman who didn't even call 911, just participated in the investigation, was granted that immunity, wouldn't you think that I was under that immunity because I called and reported and gave them the video?
I agree with you.
It happened. No hospital.
Kimberly, I agree with you. I'd like to welcome Faye Manley from Richmond, Kentucky, who just came in. Faye, I'm talking to Kimberly from Illinois, who had a very bad marriage. She divorced her husband. Her husband created domestic violence and harmed the child. And she's been talked to Vincent Davis and so forth. Faye made a comment.
Yes, he's amazing. I recommend that anybody talk to him.
Right.
I've met a lot of attorneys in my life, and right away, just by observing Mr. Davis and the way he speaks and presents himself, the man knows what he's doing. I say that.
Well, Faye wants to add something in. She likes to get involved in my podcast. She said the doctors get contracts with the Child Protection Services because they get kickbacks for doing and getting most of the referrals from CPS. So that's what Faye's saying.
Yes.
And
I know
this
doctor was not reporting in the favor of DCFS or the foster parents. In fact, he was actually reporting in his notes that this foster parent was drugging my child and had upped the dosage, claiming that there is a need for the up dosage. But he thought that it was very concerning that a child of that age on such a high milligram, and asked about his weight loss and everything. But then he went behind the foster parent's knowledge without her knowing and dropped the dosage, and then asked her, it was a question in his mind, how do you say he's still doing good but not realize the dosage has dropped?
Yeah.
And so, and they've held, and I haven't even gone through a third of this investigative report, but even in their own records, they're simply stating Kimberly did not cause the bruises or the marks on the child, but they had findings on me for cuts, welts, and bruises. And then they said that they just had everything they put in there. Like they asked my kid's therapist and my therapist, because I had been through domestic violence before, so I had been in therapy for PTSD. And both therapists said that Kimberly did what she was instructed to do, her therapy. And so they have these professionals in their notes telling them that my response to not engage physically into an altercation, with a man that's 300 pounds, 6 foot tall, and a blackout rage. I also have a baby in my arms, and I have two other minor children, 7 and 8, watching the incident.
Wow.
The prosecutor wants to come at me by saying Kimberly teaches Taekwondo, so she has her own Taekwondo school, and she should have physically assaulted him. Well, I think you've watched too many Bruce Lee movies. You know,
It's not Bruce Lee. I
seriously,
think he's
you
watched.
know.
I think he's watched wannabe movies that want to be like Bruce Lee. I mean, Bruce Lee was a true martial artist, as well as Chuck Norris
Yes,
and a lot of them. But
yes,
I think it's more of the boy, the Karate Kid movies that was really
yeah,
stretched out there. And so, martial arts is not only the act of engaging in physical alterations; it's the mindset of an
it is.
individual
It is, and
working.
part of that mindset
Mhm.
and the responsibility that comes with knowing those kinds of techniques and stuff. You don't go through our martial arts school never taught us to engage in fight. We're to get away from a fight if we can. Only when we can, and our life is in danger, do we fight. But you know, the circumstances and the law dictate otherwise. I had a long time ago lost my child for breaking a lady's jaw, who left welts on my daughter, and this is part of my criminal history. And you know, sitting in prison, realized that my anger got the better of me, and it cost my child everything. You know, I was never going to do that again.
So you were
And so
you were incarcerated?
a long time ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 43 now. When I was 22, I had my first child, and these twin girls that were 14 would babysit for me. Their stepmom, I guess, was a drug addict or something, and she showed up, and you know, she whacked my kid, and they came over and told me when I had got home, and you know, I called the police and reported it. And she was packing up her little camper, and she was getting ready to leave, and I blacked out. Rage. I went over there and I kicked her door in, and I beat her so bad I broke her jaw. But I ended up with my first criminal charge, and I did 11 months and 29 days in the county jail. And while I was incarcerated, my child was given to my parents, who DCFS said that, you know, because I was incarcerated for so long, that you know, that my daughter needed to be, you know, permanently with my parents. You know, because they could terminate your rights after a certain period.
Well,
of
did
being
they put
away
your
from
parents
child.
as temporary guardians? You don't have to move permanent. You can still.
Well, I was young. I didn't know what temporary guardianship was. I
Right,
didn't know the
right.
process. I trusted my parents. My daughter was in a good place. And, you know, and that's just their point. I should have given up guardianship to my parents. You know, but I was young. I was scared, and I don't know the law. You know, a lot of people don't know the law.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. You know, there was no harm to my child. My child wasn't in danger. She was with my parents. You know, and so, you know, it was just a lesson learned. And so when this incident happened about 30 years later, you know, it happened right in front of me. It was very traumatic. And so my response to that, just like anybody else in the world, is based upon my own personal experience.
Right.
Nobody has the same experiences. You know, most of these people are elitists. They've never even experienced a domestic violence situation. And, you know, people are very quick to say what they would or would not do until they get in that situation. We got a lot of soldiers that go to war and think that they're going to be a war hero, but when they get in the war zone, they're hiding.
Yes,
You
yes,
know?
yes.
So you don't know how you're going to respond until you get there.
Yeah.
And nobody can prepare you for that.
Well,
and, you know, to be turned around and be charged with child endangerment before, and, you know, because I got into the altercation with my child there, you know, to tell me I can't do that, and then to turn around and charge me again by doing the exact opposite, you know, and everything that I was taught in domestic violence classes, everything I was taught in, you know, therapy, you know, I haven't found one therapist, one psych doctor, or one domestic violence counselor that did not agree that I did everything that I was supposed to do.
Right, right. Hold on a second here, Kimberly. Hold on one second here. Faye has said something. I need to talk to the people that are writing in here. Faye just said,
Absolutely.
I wrote a letter and threatened suing the doctor that they prescribed meds to my son, which was several stimulants at adult dosage, and told him he had no right to place my child on those meds without first gathering extensive family history and my permission, meaning her Faye's permission. And it wasn't until 2 days and he was dropped from that doctor's office. He was taken off those medications cold turkey. So she is sharing her experiences that she had with her son and medication because
Well,
the
I tell you, Dave, you're
Okay.
going to have to show damage. If you
yeah.
want to sue, you have to show damage.
Well, it's hard to sue because it takes money, and a lot of us don't have money.
Yeah.
I have a
Absolutely.
perfect case to sue my social worker because she committed perjury on the stand under oath, and I have a lot
yeah.
I can sue her for. But it'll take a $50,000 retainer to sue her. And Faye has a lot that she could sue too. She said her son lost
Yeah.
1/3 his body weight and was hospitalized 3 times from urination straight blood. That's how bad the medications
Okay, there you
were.
go. There you got the damage. That's the damage.
The damage would be the blood, that's wrong.
You need another doctor to go over it and confirm malpractice.
But that's definitely a malpractice lawsuit that she could do. The only problem is not too many, attorneys want to do it for pro bono, which is hard to find. And it really is a sad thing.
Yeah, and that was kind of why I called in today. I was trying to figure out, what Mr. Pace was charged for a civil rights violation of the color of law, the breach of rights, kind of, get his figures. And I have an email for him, but, I don't seem to be having the correct email for him.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if I haven't told you, I'm not an attorney. I certainly know a lot about the law and worked with Vincent Davis I've been fighting him for 15 years. So hanging around Mr. Davis has kind of rubbed off onto me what he does. But a lot of it has to do with common sense when you are talking about, suing. And, this is a hard thing to do it there. So I'm glad, Kimberly, because I have talked to you before. I remember a lot of things that you're alluding to. And you said you talked to Mr. Davis, so that 15 minutes I gave you, he followed through and talked to you?
Yeah, I was on his show for about an hour and a half.
Wow, that was a long 15 minutes. I don't want to tell our listeners that he does that, because he really cares. He's one of those individuals that will help you out. He's a pit bull of attorney.
Yeah. Well, I would like to just have him enter in a civil suit. I believe to the core of me, with all the documents and evidence that I have, proving that they not only mentally and emotionally abused the children, but there was a lot. They manipulated. I have proof that they lied on the stand, withheld evidence, and manipulated evidence, like tampered with the witnesses to conjure up a criminal charge. And they did violate due process on many things, which is the most common thing I think you're going to see them be sued for, as far as your rights.
Yes.
I think in my case, they just entered in. If he just entered in a civil suit, I think they would be calling him very quickly. Yeah.
There's no question about it. He's done numerous civil suits, won millions of dollars, both at the state and the federal level. So he is he's one of the best around, and I'm so glad that you got a chance to talk to him, because that's the idea. When people call in or there'd be a guest on my show, he'll talk to you for 15 minutes. So did you tell him that you talked to me?
Yeah, I did. And he's like, you're in the fight of your life. Time is not of the essence. But here's the catch-22, and he problem spotted and owned, that this is just the problem with the system. People like me who cannot afford to get another attorney or appointed to an attorney, you're stuck with that attorney, and his malpractice costs you. Now, I could file a complaint, which would force him to be off my case and appoint another attorney, but it still takes time and setbacks in my case, which time is not on our side. after a certain period of time, a lot of statutes and things are passed. I can sue all day. I can turn around and sue malpractice and sue this and sue that. And I'll probably get the money, but nothing's going to give me back my children.
No, see, the money for compensation, whether it's $1 million, 10 million, whatever they decide is a fair amount, will never compensate for your lost or,
No.
the emotional change in your children or in yourself. I mean, you go through a lot battling CPS, let alone have to sue them. It's a wrong thing.
I can't understand why they have not been taken out. Like, is that
well? Here's what it is. I think they may be taken out. Right. I think it's going to be taken out because our new elected president has appointed Elon Musk and I think another gentleman to look at all the excessive government jobs. That there are too many excessive hours and too many. Our government, is always talking about out of money. They don't spend the money wisely. They freely will pay $10,000 for a toilet seat on a requisition from the military department. They'll say, here's a toilet seat, and they want $10,000. That is stupid. That's ludicrous. It doesn't cost $10,000 for a toilet seat. And there are so many people that work from home, and there's nothing wrong with working from home, but do nothing. There's so many deadbeats in the government. So they're going to clean it all up. And one of the things I see is the child protection system. It's a bunch of deadbeats. I mean, why would 8 social workers buy T-shirts that were pink and stencil on the front of their T-shirts, professional child kidnappers, and on the back put, parents, do you know where your children are at? And parade around in public places? They were caught. They were fired. The director was fired, but that didn't help out saving her children. That only left one person with the department to answer the calls and take care of the children. So I'm telling you, it's a very corrupt system.
No, you're right. You're right. And they know it. They know that this country's gone to shit because we've got child trafficking and, they're putting these children in foster homes, and the statistics show that these children in foster homes will end up in prison or their children will end up in foster homes.
Because they keep track of the foster case.
Not doing anything to fix.
Yeah. I was going to say, Faye Manley is a foster child that was in and out 5 times. She grows up to have children. They had a record on her. They took her 2 children. She got back her son, but she lost her young infant daughter. And they still are after her when she's trying to get guardianship of her older son now because he's a special needs child and she has to get guardianship so she can make decisions for him. He's over 18. He's in his 20s. And there's another mother that is in Atlanta, Georgia, that had a son that was in another state going through his special needs. And his birthday came around and he was 18. Then he turned 19. And he wants to come home, but they won't let him out of the system. They're still getting money. This $1 trillion business has really got absurd. And on top of that, the 1997 law that was passed, or the act, or what you want to call it, by President Clinton, basically says, we'll give you money for every child you put in foster care. They didn't care about family reunification. So family reunification has dropped significantly, and kids are put into foster care. And these foster care people are not well trained. They're not going to be interested to take care of the child. Foster care is a cheap way to adopt children. Yeah, foster care is a cheap way to adopt children. People that don't want to spend money or the time to be vented join CPS, become a foster parent to one of the agencies out there that CPS deals with. And they give money to those foster parents. There's a money incentive. It's all about money, bonuses and incentives. And the social workers that work for the child protection system are paid bonuses, big time bonuses. My social worker was always bragging about her new Gucci purse, her eye makeup, her eyelashes, her BMW car, her clothing, everything. So it really is kind of a bad there. So hold on a second. Hold on one second here. Yeah, Faye.
Yeah, I was going to say something.
Well, I just cut her off, so I need to go back to her.
Oh, you cut her off?
Well, I don't know. Let me see if I can bring you. I think you called
Did
on
she call in on your phone or your number?
She called on my work number.
Oh, okay.
So she's on hold. I don't know how to get my personal number, work number glued together.
All right, I'll go.
Okay. All right. Okay. Are you there, Kimberly?
It's okay.
Yeah. Faye tried to call in, but she didn't know that you were on my work number. So Faye wanted to say something. She's been trying to to see what she's trying to help out. She wants to be actively involved. She now says that they wouldn't let me raise both my kids, trying to claim me unfit, but I was fit enough to raise my special needs son and another foster care on weekdays, but not my baby. That's what she was trying to say. That's how bad it is.
So basically, when they CPR your rights or they claim that you're unfit, when you get your rights terminated, you are deemed unfit not for one, but for all. And so for the next 7 years, you are on a registry. And then if you give birth in a hospital or something, they take your child, you know. So the fact that she has custody of a child and they've taken the other one, I mean, that there shows that they don't have her pinned as unfit enough to take the child currently in custody. So they really shouldn't even have the other children.
Well, here's the problem. There's the law, the statutes of the law, and there's your civil rights and constitutional rights. CPS ignores the law, ignores the civil rights and constitutional rights. They don't care because no one's big enough to stop them. See, there is supervision, but the supervision is very limited. When it gets to the state level, there's an ombudsperson or the civil rights coordinator. That's it. And then when it goes to the health and welfare department at the federal level, there is a director, but that's it. And so what I'm saying is that there's no board of directors or supervisors that watch or see what's appropriate or not appropriate. And even when you make complaints, whether at the state level, the federal, or at the local level, you get nowhere. I've done it. You get nowhere. And it's all about politics too. And I think with this new administration, you're going to find we don't have a politician that's going to run our government. We got a person as a businessman. A lot of people don't realize that he doesn't want a salary. So money's not going to, special interests are not going to sway his mind. See, politicians follow money. And that's what's really wrong. And so out of the ordinary, we got somebody that's elected not only by the delegation, but elected by the people. He's both. He is both elected because what's happened is that the middle class has disappeared in the United States. We either have the rich or the poor. And it wasn't the poor that elected Donald Trump. It wasn't the rich that elected Donald Trump. It's the poor. It's the poor people. Because they're tired of paying $4.50 for a gallon of milk, 75 cents for a pound of bananas, $3 for a loaf of bread, $5 for a dozen eggs, $5 a gallon. They're tired of all this. And so what's happened is that it's going to take time. And I think one of the things is he wants to create a special member of his cabinet. There is no position, but he's creating one that's going to look at government wasting. I mean, why does every 3 months or 6 months the government has to appropriate funds to keep the government so it won't go belly up? Why do they pay $10,000 for toilet seats or spend $1 trillion to send it to social services so that they can get bonuses? My 3 children that were taken, each not me, but the CPS in Orange County got $20,000 per child per month. That's $60,000 per month. If you have 300 children, or 100 families with 3 children each, 300 children, you have over $6 million. $6 million that right away, and that's only 100 children. There's over 4,000 children right now, 400,000 children right now that are being investigated by CPS. 400,000, 500,000 children.
Yeah, and they put all these people on these registries, and they violate the due process almost every time.
And
parents have rights to visitation. They have rights to know and communicate with doctors, teachers, and they have rights, and they act like we have no rights, and they are put themselves in a position to where they can lie, corrupt, and manipulate.
Right.
In a lot of states, you can't even record these people. But, from my understanding, and I could be wrong, but my recent research has led me to the fact that federal court, once you get into federal court, if you have recordings, they will listen to them. And, a lot of these, they're awful. They're just awful people. And you're right, it is about money. And it's about time that somebody puts an end to our children being about money, our rights to our children being less than criminal rights in a courtroom. It should be a higher burden of proof.
Right.
And not go along with the process. Attorneys should be fighting harder and doing more trials.
Why would Faye is asking a question. Why would the agency that says she's not fit to take her own children give her a foster child in her home on the weekends? She did this until the child was 18, and she took care of him till he was 18, and she did that, and that was wrong. Now, Leica from South Africa, she's from the from the west. See, the province is called the Cape. I forgot what the Cape is, but anyway, she's been calling the last couple of days. It's Leica Herzenberg, and she had an awful experience in South Africa. You see, not only do I talk to people in the United States, I've talked to over 600 people or more in the United States alone. I talked to over 17 countries, and a lot of these people have called in like Leica, because CPS is a worldwide problem. It's not only in the U.S., it's worldwide. They've found a way that they can use money. So Leica has told us a little bit. Let me catch her up here. She just, Leica from South Africa said, I'm just waiting for payday, and then I'll call in and tell my story. She's saving her money so she can call on the show and be a guest from South Africa. Because I won the court case, she said. My child is coming home next month, but there is a but, and I need your help. They always leave you hanging. They make promises they never keep. And I know exactly what she's probably just saying, because I must be rewritten. It must be. She is a very fine woman that had her child wrongly taken from her, and she now is going to get them back. She's from the northwest part of South Africa. Thank you. I always forget to say the right thing. And it's from a town that I don't speak South African, and they always have these interesting names, but it's from Potchefstroom. Okay, Potchefstroom in the southwest part of South Africa is where she's from. But she has been on the show every day now, and she wants to share, just like you. And I'm so glad you called me back, Kimberly. I'm telling you what happened here with my child, and it's horrific. For all you listeners out there, Vincent did talk to her. Kimberly was on my show on my phone. I promised her he would talk to her. He talked to her for 15 minutes. He talked to her for an hour. and that was free. And he wants to help out all you people. He's a pit bull attorney. Now, his next podcast is December 7th at 9:30 in the morning. December 7th at 9:30. That's 2 Saturdays from now. And he'll be on live answering questions and answers. But he's the real deal. I hired him, and thank you, Leica. She said I pronounced that name perfectly okay, or correct, I guess. That sounds great. Maybe I'll speak South African soon. Anyway, it's really hard. Faye has told me time after time her story. She is the most remarkable woman. You know, when she was in foster care, she was raped, molested, and then she was tortured by standing on sharp rocks for long periods of time. And her feet are so hurtful. And then she was sexually trafficked. And they kept track of her. And somehow she got her high school degree. She got her college degree in nursing. She started to have children. Her mother turned her in because she didn't do anything wrong. Her mother wanted the money that they pay for helping out special needs kids. She wanted the incentive. So that was a terrible thing that Faye had to go through there. But we have Kimberly. Yeah, we have Kimberly from Illinois and Faye from Richmond, Kentucky. And we got Leigson from South Africa. And so I get all kinds of people from all around the world. And I've talked to over 600 people in the United States. And I know how hard it is, and myself, because I've been through it. I have had it myself. I fought them for 15 years. 5 years in the beginning of hearsay by my in-laws that were constantly calling that wasn't true. That was lay people. And you got to be careful of lay people. And then they took my children without asking. And I thought it was okay to let them in my home. I thought it was all right to talk to them. Those are mistakes. You do not talk to social workers. You do not let them in your home. You don't answer the door. You don't give up your children.
And most of the time, they'll take your kids without with an actual warrant. And when they do that, they try to cover their tracks. But if you could find out if they had a warrant before they took your children, and if they did not have a warrant, you have a major suit right there.
They didn't have a warrant. My problem was I trusted the government. And I trusted the child protection system, and that was my mistake. And what I know now, if I knew in 2015 is when they took my children, I would never let it happen. I would never let it happen.
No.
And the problem is we all are illiterate about CPS. Also, we have trouble fighting with a corrupt agency that lies, that, is not transparent, that revenge. I caught the social worker in an outright lie. And she said to us parents, my wife and I, you're never going to see your daughter again. And she tricked my daughter, who at 12, to emancipate from her parents, because in California, you can emancipate at 12. So she divorced mom and dad. She divorced her brothers, divorced her grandparents, her aunts and uncles and cousins. She changed her name completely, all at the guidance of the social worker. And on top of that, she was told to get a birth certificate, seal her original birth certificate, and get a new birth certificate with the foster parents that were adopting her. She was told to be adopted. That's something that a 12-year-old doesn't know how to do all that stuff. And so it was hard for me because, I waited too late to hire Mr. Davis. I should have hired him at the beginning, but I didn't. And mistakes that I made is I allowed him in my home, which is a no-no. I talked to him, which is a no-no. I met with them at their office, is a no-no. I should never have met with them at my home. It's a no-no. There's so many things now that I would do differently if I ever got involved with the child protection services, but I don't have any more children under the age of 18 anymore now. My youngest is 19. Yeah, my youngest is 19, and I'm financially ruined, by the way. I lost my home because I had to sell it to hire an attorney. And it was a beautiful home. It was a beautiful home. It was a 7-digit home. I mean, it was very expensive living at the beach. And then my financial records, my financial is ruined. I mean, my credit score is terrible because of CPS. And my family, when we get ready for Thanksgiving, we used to have a family of 8. Now we have a family of 4. My older children no longer talk to us because of CPS. And then my youngest daughter, the one that separated from us, she's 22 now, doesn't want to see us. In fact, she invited my 2 sons to her Thanksgiving with her foster care people. My sons went because I encouraged them to bond with her sister's blood. But somehow, apparently, she doesn't think I'm blood anymore. That's
because they've been manipulated.
Yeah, they've been manipulated. And
children do not discard parents no matter what they do. You will see, even, and I went to the prosecutor and I said that to him. I said, children do not discard parents no matter what they do. And you see that every day with parents who have brutally abused children. And those children do not discard that parent. So when you see a child discard a parent, that child has been manipulated.
Now, you put a question in, Kimberly. That's you, Kimberly Adams, right?
No, that's actually my friend. She works for CASA here.
Okay.
She's been
welcome, Kimberly.
Right along in this whole case.
Yeah, I don't know where you're from, Kimberly, but welcome. And she has a question. How long can they drag the case out and keep them from their parents? Well, they want to keep it to their 18 years of age because it's a steady cash flow. CPS goal is supposed to be unification, but they lost it a long time ago when President Clinton in 1997 signed into law the incentive law, meaning that they give money to have people adopted through foster care. And I agree with you, Kimberly. It is so sickening. Where are you from, Kimberly? And that's interesting. I got Kimberly on the phone from Illinois, and I have Kimberly Adams who called in.
Yes, Kimberly's a friend of mine. She's kind of like a guardian ad litem in the court systems out here.
Okay.
She's just my friend, and she's been here with me throughout the whole case.
Well, I'm glad that you asked that question, Kimberly, and I'm glad you're listening in there. We have Faye Manley from Richmond, Kentucky. We got Kimberly from Illinois. I assume the other Kimberly Adams is from Illinois. Yeah, good.
That's my friend.
Right, there she is. And then we have Leica Herzenberg from South Africa. And she's been talking for the last couple of days. And she says, I'm suing the welfare the moment my child is back in my arms. Well, you got to wait till the case is closed. When you got a letter that says your case is closed, then you can file the lawsuit. Now, she further says, let's see what else she says. Try to put it up so everybody can read it. I'm also
lawsuits, there's a statute of limitation on those, correct?
I found out that certain ones there aren't any. It all depends on the type of case you're doing. I'm also looking at changing of names and so on to get them off my back. I don't have a choice. I heard they can stay in your back and keep under their eyes all time. You're right. Once you're involved, you need to have the case closed and you expunge from the CPS's records, because they will keep after you. Yes, we must stop CPS. I agree we must stop CPS. And what else can we say? I like your friend. Kimberly is very active. There is a statute of limitations, I do believe. Yes. On certain things there are. But the other day, someone was talking about statute of limitation, and it was override because certain things, you have to look at each case simply. Basically, you can go and enter in the statute of limitation for committing perjury. There's an easy one. Statute of limitation committing perjury. The statute of limitation for perjury, typically in California, is 3 years from the date of the alleged perjury occurred. After 3 years, the district attorney cannot prosecute the accused. Well, there are some other statute of limitations for related crimes. Lying to the FBI, the statute of lying to the FBI is 5 years. False imprisonment, false statement in violation of Title 18 is 5 years from the date of the crime is completed. Maybe I need to refine mine in CPS cases. Statute of limitation in CPS cases. Yeah, typically it's 3 years, but someone the other day told me that there's other ways they can do it, something else more. I've heard it in there. So you're right. My case was over at the end of 2017. But if you file a beginning of your perjury, your civil suit, and don't have to worry about the rest of it till you get it all together, there is no stat once it's filed. So let me get back to the room here. I don't know if people hear me when I leave the room. I think when I leave the room, I don't know if you guys are still hearing me or not. So it all depends. Now, Kimberly says something else further. I know you hear me, Kimberly, from Illinois, because you're on my phone. An interstate,
Yes, I hear you.
yeah, an interstate complicated is required to move the children to another state. Yeah, that's where they have a special organization that transports the children. It's a special when there's not an impact because the state kids were moved to would not sign. This is where there's special needs. I've had several cases. There's one child that was taken from Georgia to Texas because he has special needs. He was lost in the CPS's hands. At age 18, he's supposed to go home to his parents, but the CPS kept him. He finally told him and convinced him, I need to go home to my mom and dad. I'm 19. And so he walked out on them. A lot of people don't know the laws. That's the hard thing there. That's the hard thing there.
Well, a judge is immune. He can make any decision that he likes, even if it's placing children out of state without an interstate compact. But no judge, like Mr. David said, no judge is going to really do that. You're not going to find a judge that would do that. But my judge did do that. And my judge did that because I feel they know what they've done. And if they would have brought the children back into the state, like any normal judge would have done, I think they know that they would have had to reunify with me. And a lot of the cats would have come out of the bag. But I have all the cats out of the bag anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's going to have to take, and I'm afraid the only way we're going to be able to make changes, it's going to have to take our government, and it's going to have to take the politicians to enact a law, a study, or something to make the change. We had a person named Nancy Schaefer, who was a politician from Georgia, and she was murdered. She was in her 70s, and she hated CPS. She wanted to abolish CPS. She's an activist that was fighting against CPS. Well, like, you can type in the name Nancy Schaefer, and you can see her videos. But even she was having problems where she got so close to him, they had her murdered. See, that's the whole sad part. I really don't trust our government. Now, this new government, I have to wait and see. But people sometimes get too close to things, they're murdered. They are actually murdered, and it's so sad. Not only do we not have, we are now becoming a third world country because we have no middle class. Definition of third world country is no middle class. The United States doesn't have. We either have the poor and the rich. And that's what the United States is about right now. And it's lucky.
Well, we can definitely say there's a enormous amount of corruption when it comes to putting DCFS and CPS out of business, or correcting the issues that have been publicly raised, even in Supreme Court. There's so many lawsuits. There's so many people. There's more people actively against the Department of Children and Family Services and CPS and the corruption. It's not a secret. Everybody knows how dirty, corrupt it is. And nothing has ever changed. And if that doesn't show you the amount of corruption behind it, I mean, we can't deny, there's no denying of the problems in the system.
Right. Well, we have Leica from South Africa says that's what I want to do is go to the parliament. See, we have Congress in the United States. South Africa, they call it the parliament. England is called the parliament. Australia is a parliament. All the British colonies form their parliament, but it's the parliament or the Congress that's got to make the changes. And you got to lobby them. You're going to have to go to Washington, D.C. and lobby and have you come up and speak for Congress about the corruption, the evilness. And we got to change it. Just like President Clinton signed the law, President-elect Trump could sign new laws. I mean, he is going to close the border now. He's going to regulate the flow of people coming to the United States. He's going to make the economy that we can live on your salary and wages. It's right now, the CEOs of most of the food companies are raising prices because they want to get money before all things take place. If you notice that, this rush to put money in is so they can get gluttony and get money before that. So these changes got to be made, and it takes us to en masse and make the changes. You know, it's just like anything else we've had in this country. Mass people make changes. There's all these marches that used to happen all the time. Martin Luther King was an advocate about changes. He made changes so the black people have more respect today. And I know Mandela, who is from South Africa, did the same thing with the black people in South Africa. You got to make the changes. So we all have to make changes here and so forth. And so it's going to take all of us talking about it and talking to our congressmen and a representative. Those are the two people that make up the Congress. And the Congress, which enacts our laws and makes decisions. They handle appropriation of money. They need to put a restriction on CPS. They have to be accountable for their spending. There has to be a board of directors and supervisors that will watch CPS. That it should not be difficult. They say fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. It's so crazy. You're like Alice in Wonderland and fall in the rabbit hole, and you talk to the Cheshire Cat, and you're bouncing from room to room. It's crazy there. It's crazy. It is a very corrupt thing there. We have about, I got to end my show here, Kimberly, because my time almost up. But I really like this discussion, and I want to thank Kimberly, who's been called in from Illinois. I'm talking about the Kimberly, that's not the other Kimberly who's in the room, but this is Kimberly from Illinois, who is, I'm sorry, okay, that she's going to be on again, and that she did talk to Mr. Davis. He was a big help. So any of you that want to call in or be a guest on my show, I can guarantee at least 15 minutes with Mr. Davis, and he can help you out. And he spent a long time there. So Leica from South Africa, I'm looking forward to your call in, and thank you for sharing what's going on in South Africa. Kimberly Adams, it's nice to meet you from Illinois. You have a great friend and a great story. I'm glad that you responded there. And then I want to thank Faye Manling, my regular host that comes in my show all the time, who is from Richmond, Kentucky. Thank you, all you people. And God bless you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. I'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm on twice a day, 14 shows a week, Monday through Sunday. I've not missed any of them. I have over 700 shows. They're all recorded, so you can hear me about my rules and about ways to act as room. So I got all there. So please keep fighting for your children. They really mean a lot to you, and I really care for them. And so God bless you, and you'll hear a little blurb from Mr. Davis when I sign off. This is Bob Pace signing off.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.